when something is taken from us, it's understanding that something better is coming. All I can do is say, we're not doing that. We're doing different. And when we keep repeating the same things over, we haven't learned from that. So I learned, like, not doing that. This is just an example. I'm not saying that we're going to blow up, but I'm just saying that something like this where
I'm not gonna say we're not.
okay. Hi, Holden. It's been a
Hey,
minute.
what's up?
We
Yeah,
haven't.
it's been a fat minute.
I think it's probably good because the pause we had since we last talked was pretty much the entire Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
I really think that wasn't that right? I think the last time we talked was like June.
Mm.
Yeah. How was it for you? That
Honestly, there were some finicky moments at first. I can't like remember exactly what happened, but I do remember there were several moments and I was like, oh, Mercury retrograde to like have this kind of mess up or, forgetting something or whatever it was, you know? But then eventually like it like faded away, And then I like kind of I also hate the blame game, you know?
well, I feel that certain certain planetary aspects. So if people don't understand what I'm saying when I say that, when there's certain the planets when they move around, and certain times it just feels more potent and stronger for individuals than and not every individual, but I feel that the collective has been feeling a lot. And and for me, this was definitely a very powerful Mercury retrograde. I mean, it was in Cancer, and so Cancer asks you to reflect on how you nourish yourself, how you nourish others, how you nurture them, um, because Cancer is ruled by the moon, and
Mm.
it also represents home. And
And
right,
the moon like represents like feelings, right?
it's emotions, it's mom, it's how you were mothered, how you mother others. uh,
I,
it also is just about home and what feels like home. And I think that the past month, a lot of us were reflecting upon that. Whether, and for me, I was literally like homebound. I've had an injury, and today's the first day I'm actually going to play tennis. I haven't played in a month because
oh
I
yeah.
had this horrible injury. I couldn't walk for a week. Anyway, so I was pretty much stuck at home. So I was forced to be home.
Yeah. Well,
uh,
welcome back.
I'm trying. And I mean, I was in so much pain, I couldn't even talk. But it's probably a good thing because Mercury retrograde, you might say things people don't understand, or people might um, take things out of context, or they won't hear it the right way. But I definitely was brought back to a place of learning, how, like, where I was not properly taking care of myself,
Mm.
strength training.
Yeah.
So,
The thing about that too, also, like when you're injured, a lot of times because that harshes your EQ, your emotional part of your brain, and that as you engage with your emotions of like something like being hurt and stuff, you tend to extend that towards others and everything, like so like you'll reflect your injury to other people and like the way you act and stuff, however long you are dealing with the pain, aches, and all that stuff.
it's so true. And I think the physical pain 100% becomes emotional and mental, and because mine was related to my nervous system, um, to my sciatic nerve specifically. I felt my entire nervous system was just out of whack, and it was emotional. And my God, like the pain in those moments, I just kept telling myself, health is wealth. I mean, if without your health, like nothing matters.
Yeah,
And to feel
true.
like just completely detached from your normal routine is unsettling. And I know you, it gave me so much more appreciation for people, especially in your community, that have suffered or have experienced, I'm sure, of course, there was a suffering component, but the way
Mm.
emerged from your brain injury is just so inspiring. I was such a baby. I was in pain and I just couldn't function. And, you know, you always show up with a smile and you're doing things and being a part of the community. I know you injured yourself also about a month ago. Was it your hand or your wrist or something? And
Yeah.
yeah, and like you're just like still like living. So I think it's amazing. You're such an inspiration. And but yeah, pain can really bring out a side of you that's not that pretty. Like you might say things or just don't have the patience that you did, or just I was kind of depressed about it to be. I was like, I just couldn't, move the way I would like to. And physical activity is definitely something I need for my own self-care. And not being able to be active for a month was just brutal. So
Yeah, I can, yeah. I totally understand. Like it really it harshes your mellow for sure when you like get any kind of injury and then like I don't know, I'm thinking like in many cases the injury like when you'll get past that like ouch um moment, but like the after effects and stuff, a lot of them like sometimes have a long lasting thing or like a forever thing, like a
yeah,
brain injury. Um,
right.
so I don't know. Like I just think that's a good I see it as like a perspective opener. Like or like a um your field of view becomes wider.
Yeah, it does reshape your perspective on a lot of things because you have to, and you
Mm.
have to either you can, I mean, I did wallow. I was definitely upset. I was wallowing. I was I was in my feelings, which was so classic, Mercury retrograde and Cancer anyway. But then I found myself coming back to, so like my moon sign is Aquarius, and I know we're going to talk about the full moon happening
Yeah.
in Aquarius, which I can personally speak about Aquarius moon energy. And I definitely noticed the past 3 or 4 days, I've been, since Mercury went direct in Cancer, I've been back to my Aquarius moon self, where just, intellectualizing emotions and feelings and understanding them through researching why this might be happening. And that's just the energy of, Aquarius moon is kind of detached, and it's about the bigger picture, about community, the collective, and, more humanitarian in nature. And I just, it felt good to get back to my not moody self.
Yeah, well, I always welcome that self.
Yeah.
I mean, I welcome
I don't like
all.
being moody. I don't like getting, you know, we have to process emotions. I do process it verbally and intellectualize them, but and I do, but sometimes we get emotional and like that can feel uncomfortable.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
love feeling the good emotions, right? Like the happy stuff, but but sometimes we have to feel sad,
Mm. Yeah.
balance.
And like I think the thing about sadness, bad emotions, or whatever, heartbreak or anything like anything in the negative realm is like because everything is a polarity, it is gonna bounce back, and like at the moment you are I believe you are meant to experience the suck,
Yeah. Oh
for
yeah. It has to.
however long.
It gets you back into balance. Everything's always a balancing act.
Mm-hmm.
Which, can you hear my dog barking?
No.
Okay, good. Every time we get, she always wants to like be a part of it. Stop it. No. But it's interesting you said polarity, because this moon we have in Aquarius is opposite the sun in Leo.
Mm,
And it's a very different energy. And I believe that this full moon is asking us to, there's a lot of stuff happening in Aquarius right now, but asking us to release something and also embrace something regarding the collective.
mm,
And I've definitely felt a lot more inspired by community, and Leo is more about self, about, you know, I mean, for lack of a better word, about ego. I don't mean
Mm,
that in a bad way,
yeah.
but there's a lot of stuff happening in Leo that's asking us to release that part of us, the ego part of us, to embrace the collective, embrace community more. And I know the work you do here is so like about the community, the work that you and your mom do together, and for your community. So it's interesting because you are Aries and you have Leo, but
Mm.
I feel like you're using the best of all of it for the community, you know?
I try. Thank you. That means a lot, honestly. And it's interesting, kind of observing your own emotions, or like, observing your reactions, but then um that kind of teaches you, like, what the signs of that reaction being about to happen, so you can be more conscious of, like, part of me wants to be mad, part of me wants to be like, or, super super depressed, and but because everything's a balancing act, like, I think you can always hop on to it's kind of like a neutral area. It's weird, but it's a balancing act. That's yeah.
Yeah. And I think that other things happening in Aquarius, Pluto, I think that people are going to realize where maybe they've been too much about self and not about being part of a community, or they might be drawn to that. But I mean, I know the past month especially, I felt very detached from community because I had to focus on myself
Mm,
and healing. But I don't like that. I like to be, you know, doing things for the greater good, or trying to,
mm,
trying to
yeah.
think of new ways to share messages and teach and inform. And so I'm always grateful for you having me, on. It's always fun because I always
Thank
find
you.
you and I just kind of bounce ideas off each other that weren't even in the script. It's
Yeah.
just kind of fun just to talk. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. And thank you so much for helping us and helping me, especially. Like, I think this has become like such a healing factor for me, I think. And hopefully all the lovely people that watch this, like, I don't know, it's just amazing. So I appreciate you as well. And I don't know, it's just an exciting freaking time to be here, experiencing all the transits, all these weird astrological occurrences.
Hmm.
Even for the people that have no idea about astrology. I think maybe eventually, or at some point in the future, well, we should make a video like kind of describing the gist of astrology.
The basics. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I like to say, you know, a lot of times when people talk about a subject that it's hard, it doesn't feel very tangible, or it's hard to grasp the concept of it.
Mm,
Um, I just say something. It's for me. I just look at the history of it again, like intellectualizing the study of astrology, and civilizations have been studying it for thousands of years. There's a sun in the sky, there's a moon. They identified these planets or these things in the sky, right? Whatever they called them
mm,
back then, you know, 7,000 years ago, there's tablets showing all these different, the movement of the planets. And that was how they thrived as civilizations, how they understood, okay, now it's time to plant seeds or whatever, or like,
Yeah.
and they started noticing patterns. So astrology is just about patterns over time.
Yeah.
It's been documented. And there's certain patterns of, like, for example, when the moon is full in this part of the sky, an area that has been called Aquarius, part of the sky,
Mm.
certain things tend to happen. Um, and it's also can be very personal to an individual based on where you have Aquarius in your chart. The chart is divided into 12 houses. So that, yeah, that could get a little layered, but it's been observations they've had for many, many years. And there have been some configurations in the sky, some aspects recently where there is no documented history. So that's kind of exciting to see what's going to happen. But, typically this time of year, well, especially with the stuff happening now with Gemini, you're seeing a lot of, like, I just call it like air activity versus, earth. There, we had a lot of the fires that were happening in Canada, I guess, this whole area was just covered in smog. I'm in the Washington, D.C. area, and I don't know if there's wildfires, they happen. Okay. But it has felt that we haven't had a lot of rain here. It feels like we have not had a lot of rain at all. We've had some crazy thunderstorms, lightning and thunder, which haven't had in a while. I haven't seen one as bad as I saw the other day in like the 6 years I've been living here. So I just think that it's interesting how you can see weather patterns also line up with the astrology. And again, I just kind of think it's interesting. I can't speak to that. I'm not a meteorologist, nor am I an expert on the weather, but there are certain patterns that, again, it's been documented over thousands of years, most
Mm.
recently, especially the past couple hundred years when people have been able to communicate verbally about it and not just on clay tablets and sharing insights that they've seen in, just from looking at other people's astrology charts and how it lined up with the patterns in the sky. So I think it's kind of cool. I think can definitely, I just think it's like, it's one more GPS, I guess, or one more informative piece to add. And again, I don't ever push it on anybody, take it or leave it. I've just found in my own life, it's been extremely accurate, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. I was just thinking for me personally, like, and for any of the brain injured people that like, because I have a lot, I think a large set of the brain injury community on this channel, and I think because one of the first things I remember learning like um is that like to make up for your memory, like the like short-term memory kind of being diminished completely, nearly completely. um it takes a lot of intentional, like there's a lot of strategies, so repetition is a big one. So that's like where I can see like that it's a cyclical, like astrology, everything is cyclical. Like these occurrences happened when Pluto was in this position, or relative to Mars and the sun, where it is and stuff.
Yeah.
It is a great way of I may I don't know, I feel like it's like a cool way to heal more, like or more widely. And because it's not taught at all in like the public education and stuff, like heck no. Um but the thing is, like, if you can get to the point like where I fortunately, I'll say fortunately, had my accident happen just days after graduating high school. It was like I was at like the perfect time before, like, developing me as an adult. And so using astrology and understanding that whole like is it a the whole, I mean the concept and like reality, relativity, and all the things is such a healing thing, I believe. So, like you can, from a brain injury, I think you can heal maybe even like a lot more if you like find interest in things like astrology that go like super deep. And as you get, it's a lot of repetition because like I couldn't remember like jack squat for the first couple years after my brain injury. Oh my gosh, like I forgot like if my mom was like, "Where's my mom?" And it was like I was in the hospital, I was asking my nurses, "Where's my mom?" And like because I couldn't find her or I didn't know where she was. And she was like, my mom had just left, like after telling me she's gonna go back home to um, get something, like, or maybe not at home, but like, yeah, just to the vending machine, stuff like that. And yeah, I just think it's a cool thing.
So I guess like because you really you thrive on repetition and patterns in your own life, so that's why you probably appreciate what you've learned about the patterns in astrology, and
Yep.
and can appreciate the significance it can play. I think that there was a long time ago, a long time ago, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, where it was more important to understand, oh, okay, what's happening in the sky and what does this mean? And they didn't have calendars. They didn't have a weatherman telling you it's going to get cold tonight. They just had to trust how things were moving in the
Mm.
sky. And so there was more of a need. And now I guess people kind of look at astrology. And I'm not saying, oh, this is a science, but there, these planets exist, they exist. And there are patterns that have been observed. So, I mean, the moon is really powerful. Look what the moon does. The moon controls the tides of the oceans and water. And like, in fact, what's oysters, they open up there's I don't know much about oysters. Did we say this last time? Their shells open on a full moon. And so a lot of animals, their rhythms are tied to the moon. So
Mhm.
that to me is fascinating, especially because my background is in science. But
Yeah, that is interesting. I don't think you said that before. That's
yeah,
so
no,
cool.
a lot of things about the moon, like animals linked to the moon, and the sun. Without the sun, we couldn't live.
Yeah.
Is the source. Something that's really cool that's happening like right now. I don't know if you've heard about this, but Jupiter, which is is considered a benefic, like a good, like they call it like the Santa Claus in the sky, is in Leo. And
Mm.
right now, Jupiter is in such a tight conjunction, meaning it's in a very tight degree with the sun. It's called a cazimi. And so for people, wherever you have Leo in your chart, or if you are a Leo sun, you're going to have this major glow up. So I think it's kind of cool that we're recording today because your first house is Leo. And so you have the sun, which is like, you probably feel pretty like lit up today. You should.
Definitely.
And Jupiter is abundance, it represents abundance. And so when it's in a Kazemi, it just feels like expansion, generosity. Like it's just a really good energy feeling.
Mm.
So, and because it's in your first house of self, then I wouldn't be surprised if you're going to feel pretty good today. And actually, for the whole year, Jupiter will be going through your first house, which is it's a really a nice placement for Jupiter.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Because Jupiter, I know whatever Jupiter's in, it's all about expansion.
Mhm.
And
It can be, and it can go, again, back to balance, where I think it can also go to extremes. Sometimes some people have Jupiter transiting their second house, which represents food and
mm,
money. So I've heard a lot of astrologers say people will might gain weight during that transit, that 1 year transit. So it's all about balance and finding balance. And there's certain aspects happening. I won't get too in the weeds, but in Leo for the next year, 18 months, that are going to kind of tame Jupiter's expansion. So I think it'll be a measured expansion, meaning like I don't like the extremes that people might feel sometimes with Jupiter will
Mhm.
be tamed by the South Node energy, which that's a lot for your listeners. I'm sorry, guys. Like,
No, no, no.
can't help but like get
I'm
in the weeds.
yeah, I mean, people can choose to watch or, leave whenever. So, I don't know. So, I don't know. It's interesting. This is for the people that love like the deeper reality and maybe brain injury related things, how I'm learning and stuff. Like I feel like I imagine me learning and like getting into like the weeds of like something as deep as astrology um is like kind of inspires like people to be more open-minded with their healing and they practice what they're passionate about or something they're very interested in like that. I think that feels like a critical thing for sure.
Yeah. Um, the good news about this full moon in Aquarius is it's not going to be as emotional as some full moons can be
Mm,
because Aquarius is not an emotional. It's just about, it's going to like the moon and the sun are luminaries in the sky. So it's just going to illuminate, um, I would say illuminate opportunities to become realigned with community, or people might have some ideas or inspiration or just some awareness of how have I not been showing up for the greater good, whether it's within your community or just even like it could be within your family. I mean, again,
mm.
depending where it falls in your chart, but I think it's a lot of opportunity, a great opportunity to just to yeah show up more, like be more visible in as a collective, like more innovative. Maybe somebody might have an idea to start volunteering in a different capacity or in a capacity where they haven't before, just being inspired. So what they say about the full moon, it's almost like if you planted a seed 6 months ago, you might see it come to fruition between now, but also over the next 6 months. So things that you've been trying to manifest, um, again, related to community or just innovation, or it's also technology. Maybe somebody decided to start designing an app 6 months ago, and then, oh, and now they're able to complete it. I don't know. How do you design apps?
Yeah,
I don't know, but
yeah.
even just like starting like a podcast, um,
Mm.
and that would inform people. And did you and I start recording 6 months ago? No, I don't think so.
No,
No, it was a few months ago. It was like in April, I think, April, or I don't know. Um,
like you mean like the astrology kind of podcast we've been doing?
yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was a few months ago, but
Yeah,
something like this is just an example. I'm not saying that we're going to blow up, but I'm just saying that something like this, where
I'm not gonna say we're not.
well, exactly, um, but something like this is, you know, a seed was planted 6 months ago, a desire, and especially if somebody planted a seed in their mind or had a goal to do something for the community, or become part of a bigger thing, a thing bigger than themselves.
Mm,
They could see that come to fruition, or they'll have different ideas about it, especially starting today, July 29th. um, I believe the moon was full, I want to say at 10:37 this morning East Coast time. So that's kind of cool. So we were recording, like, I love that we're recording like at the peak of the full moon. Like, this is where I
yeah,
get geeked out about astrology.
yeah.
It's so
I
cool.
know. It's funny. Like I think like astrology is such a cool thing too. make you like, I guess it doesn't necessarily have, I don't know, I've been thinking about like the fact that the way we think, it's like the blame game I was talking about earlier. Like I don't like blaming astrology or like, something happening in astrologically or whatever. But like it's it's just a lens, and you can appreciate that lens for that time. Like it's like every new transit and new, I don't know, it could be anything like lunation, or relative to other planets and stuff. It's just a cool, it's like a filter.
Yeah, I think it's always giving us a chance. It's always giving us an opportunity to reflect and grow. Or that's how I've been using it. It's just, I believe in God, creator, and it's a bigger power than us. I
Mm,
believe in that. And so I think that the creator, God, universe wants us to be to grow and receive everything. Like the sky is the limit. And so I think these transits, they help you. It's a shape shifting, like helping you change and improve. And when we resist things, anything in life, this is just like, now we're getting into like law of attraction stuff, but anytime what you resist will persist. So every time you resist something, you have to ask yourself, even if you don't believe in astrology, like, why am I resisting this, or why am I trying to force an outcome?
mm,
And when we allow just things to unfold as they are supposed to, yes, there can be some challenging periods, of course, but by allowing it to unfold, where it's like riding the wave and getting over that and getting to the next to receive the abundance.
mm,
So like back to the pain where, like, I was just speaking my own personal, the past month, and I'm sure, can relate to this because you've been, recovering from your accident for a number of years. And you've been doing such a great job with the yoga and the PT and all the stuff you've been doing to, it's just I could have been, crying in bed, but and I was like, no, I'm going to be proactive and try to figure out how to get through this pain faster with acupuncture and different stretching and whatever I had to do,
mm,
training to improve it. But, or I could still be crying about, I lost a month of my life, but there's no
mm.
point. So if I had resisted this opportunity to rest and heal, I would still be probably in pain, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I think that pain might even multiply because your discouragement and everything because of something that impacted you can take a toll on you because it's like why would I mean, there's a lot of times that I remember myself thinking, like after the brain injury, more closely to or closer to like the accident, um, which was 2019. Um, I remember like, what's the point? Like, it's just like if you feel so lost and like it seems like everything is going against you, but then yeah, like you can always change that like lens that you have on life, or like the way you view life is always up to you, and like you control that filter. So,
Yeah, it's like, when you have a feeling about something, and then it becomes a belief, and then, uh, you know, a feeling can become a thought. And if it's a momentary thought, like, okay, this isn't fun, what I'm feeling right now, but it doesn't define me, and it's just a feeling. But there's always a chance to write a narrative about that feeling. And I think that when, like you were saying, the pain multiplying, it happens when the thought becomes a belief, becomes a mindset.
Mm.
And then now you're thinking, or a person might be thinking, I'm never going to feel good again. And like, yeah, you're not, because you're telling yourself you're not going to feel good again. I'm never going to do this or do that. And the self talk is so, especially when you're in a place of pain and you feel isolated from people and you feel isolated from an identity that you once believed was just always going to be. And, and then the narrative becomes self-fulfilling, that you're telling in
Yeah.
your head. So every time I find myself engaging in negative self-talk, I stop and I'm like, okay, what's the truth? Essentially, the only truth is that we are breathing. Like that's our only truth. If you think
Yeah.
about it, I mean, I don't want to get too deep about that, but at times like that, and then I just tell myself something different. Like right now, I'm safe. I'm safe.
Mm.
Every moment we are safe, anxiety and all the stuff that can help us write a narrative that isn't true, but it becomes true the more we tell ourselves that it's true,
Mm.
you know?
It's the power. It's like self-talk, like,
Uh,
yeah, totally.
every day we have a new chance to write a different story, you know?
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to say because, yeah, I love that. And it's a it's cool. It's a cool way to reflect on things. Um, but there was something I was gonna, um, dang, sorry, my
Is that your phone?
phone. Yeah, I'm gonna mute these things.
It's the universe asking
Yeah.
you.
It's like, come on, dude.
Like, Jupiter in your first house, like blowing you up. You're blowing up the power of love and everything. And maybe you want to share with people the, I don't know if it's okay if I say this, but Holden's going to be leading a meeting and a meetup group that we are a part of on the Lions portal 88. So that's pretty powerful.
Mm. Yeah,
And
that was the last thing actually that I had on my iPad is
oh,
like
cool.
my notes and stuff for the Lionsgate portal. And I'm pretty excited for that. Like I've been practicing like this whole outline or script. I say script like kind of hesitantly because I don't like scripts, and like I mean, yes, sometimes, but like I think if I just ingrain this kind of idea of a script that is only going to keep changing and stuff. Gosh, my computer, man. Um,
It's
so
Aquarius rules
um,
technology also, or
yeah,
it has a say in technology. So,
yeah,
um, but no, I think it's cool. I think that like this is another aspect of dates and astrology because Leo is August 8th is Leo. And
oh my God. Okay. Sorry, it was my Roomba thing. Gosh.
no, it's okay. I mean, we can edit that out, but I could start again. So I'd say another cool thing about astrology and or just significance of dates. I'm sure there's a numerology bend, of course, to the 88. So
Mm,
these portals and being it's Leo season because Leo is the sun sign and Leo rules the heart. And Leo also is like self and it's power empowerment and it's also courage. Leo, represents courage and strength, which I think is so fitting for Holden to be leading this class on, or just a talk on the Lionsgate portal. And I'm curious, Holden, 'cause I do like, and genuinely, I don't really, I'll manifest or try to manifest certain things during portal, but portal gate activations, like not my, it's like not my, it's in my general knowledge, but it's like not in my strong wheelhouse of
Mm.
informing people what that is. But I imagine with Jupiter, especially in Leo, and the date 8/8, which is like peak Leo season, right? Like in the middle, right? Of the Leo time of year, it's a great opportunity going back to the heart to just focus on like love towards the collective. And so, is there a chance or a certain time of the day on August 8th that people should meditate on that or just set an intention? Like, how does that work?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I would think it would be pretty much the entire day, to my knowledge. But like, I don't know of a specific time that like would be like optimal, you know? Like, I think it's just like a collective energy, like of that intentional energy of people with this awareness, and
It's like
like,
it's like an activation though, like an activation of this. Like, I would say, I think I've heard this before actually, like 8/8, like in the morning, because that would be purely like 8:08 a.m. wherever you
mm,
are, and then like setting something on your phone and a notification alert, and then to just be super intentional about how you want to activate the portal to share love and share just something for the greater good, like for the collective.
mm, yeah,
How you want to show up, because Leo is about showing up. How do you want to show up and share your gifts or just like love better and
yeah,
just, like drop the judgment and drop the ego and just love, how do you share
yeah,
unconditional acceptance for yourself and for others, you know?
yeah. I totally agree. And I think the way we are kind of, we will naturally, like, even if we don't know jack diddly squat about, also, I don't know if I've ever said that, about astrology. Um, I think the way, like, I think our brains work too, which I think a little bit about
Yeah.
being a neurologist or
And neuroscience.
yeah, neuroscience. Um, I imagine like there is a power to collective intention and like people like just the way our brains naturally radiate to other brains and everything. Like even without it's like when you go into a classroom of, like, or like a high school classroom, you know, and it's like a test day. So like that's why, or a test day or something, and the collective energy is so like, I don't know, like so much less, and
Oh, you see,
sometimes nervousness.
so you can feel the collective energy because of the stress probably or the pressure or the edge, but but it's much more individual because it's about self like doing well on the test.
Mm,
That's an
yeah,
interesting, it's an interesting yeah, that dynamic is, and there is there, you have to kind of stay in your own space, but energy is very powerful. And so if we collectively decide to focus on love and like dropping ego, dropping judgment, dropping self, and it can be very powerful to send that energy out, especially to somebody. Doesn't distance doesn't matter. Um, that's the power of thought and intention, and just sending that out to people. It is more powerful, of course, in person if you're close to somebody physically. But even there's been people just even connect when you're on a Zoom call or like FaceTiming somebody. It's more powerful than just calling because you're
Mm.
seeing things and the vibration you're hearing, of course, in the voices, but the visual is also really important. So I would say, connect somehow with people you love and just share that
Yeah.
on August 8th.
Yeah, thank you for that advice. That's really true, very true. And it's I think like it's a really interesting thing the way or like to kind of zoom out and think how your energy like affects the energy and like everything is ripple effect on each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all are like little hubs of energy essentially, and like the way we connect and everything. Like that's why I think connection is so important, because there is a better combined collective energy in some things. Now, when it comes to our, I guess, conscious awareness, there is you have to it's why it is helpful and incredibly important to give yourself time and space and like just to focus on yourself and just observe yourself. Don't be judgmental like why didn't I do this, why didn't I give that person this or that, they needed help or something, like because then it becomes just a ridicule of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that because that's where we have the power of that, like that cell connecting with other cells, and it could be a positive connection that can continue to further yeah, spread the further positive connections, or like considerate or compassionate connections or relationships.
Yeah, there is a ripple effect to that. I mean, if you're how we interact with people, depending on what kind of a day they're having, can be very powerful. It could be neutral. It could be meaning like if somebody's already in a positive mindset and so are you, then it can just keep growing. But if you are in pain and you're snappish, I'm just speaking for myself when I was in pain. And then when somebody needed a different feeling from you, not, and we are, just to be clear, like we're human, you know, and so whenever I feel like somebody's not, or their energy towards me doesn't feel very good or positive, almost always I have to look inside me and ask, where am I hurting, emotionally?
Mm.
Because I think the majority of us, our intention is not to be hurtful in conversation or interactions, but sometimes if I'm receiving like hurt feelings from somebody, it's like, it's not, I have to look inward first and ask where am I hurting, or what do I need to reflect on? Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe I'm hungry. Maybe I'm lonely. And it just made me feel all of those things magnified. So, and the same is true for like when we are, in a good energy space and feeling the love. And then you see more love. And then it's like everything is love, And so I think that it can be really powerful, like you're saying, when we are intentional with that and doing it for the purpose. But to your point, like, yeah, the ripple effect of any sort of connection, any sort of exchange with anybody, is powerful. And I think
Yeah.
being intentional. And again, we have no control over what somebody thinks or how they receive our message ever. And nor should you ever want to control that. Like it's way out of anybody's um, like way above their pay grade. And so
Yeah.
I've always loved this one thing. It's one quote I heard years ago, and it's just stuck with me. Like, somebody else's opinion of me is none of my business. Because you don't know what kind of day they're having. And you try to please everybody. It's just, you got to go back to just what's my intention in showing up? What's my intention in creating? What's my intention in being a friend with somebody? Or what's my intention? Like, is my intention just to give, or is it to, receive also? And just being aware of your intention in pretty much any exchange, especially when it doesn't feel like it was received or doesn't feel good. You know,
Mhm.
you send a
Yeah.
text message to somebody, just do it out of like the purity of the message you want to share. Don't do it because you're looking for a certain response, you know,
Yeah.
which can create expectations that won't be fulfilled in the way you wanted them to be fulfilled. It's just expectation, all that stuff. It just, yes, I just think being intentional and being pure and understanding your intention can just create a lot more just love and compassion and empathy and just kindness,
Mhm. Absolutely. I totally agree. It's a interesting thing to like talk about right now too. Like with the state of the world being so like tenuous, I think that's what I'm thinking. Like, we're like tense.
Yeah.
Um in a lot of different ways. Um I think it's an interesting thing to witness. Like, like I mean, I'm just like you and like everybody else is we're on the same boat. We all have our own struggles in our own ways, but we do have I think the one thing we always have is each other, you know? Not just me and you individually, but like collectively. Like we all this is where you kind of tap into like some people believe we are just like we are one consciousness, like because we are all just different iterations of whatever we see as source or God or spirit or whatever it is. And I think that it's just an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah,
I love that.
for sure.
Yeah.
I guess when people understand that it's such like an Aquarius message that you're sharing, like when you understand that like none of us, like no, not, yes, we are individuals, we have autonomy, but at the same time, we are part of the greater um, collective of, community or whatever. And so just being aware of that and the part you play um, is important, you know, I
Mm,
think that all the stuff that's going to be happening in the next 18 months, really 20 years with Pluto and Aquarius, it's it's going to be a lot of taming of egos, I believe. Just step people who, and it's an opportunity, if let's say that a part of if somebody's identity or their ego feels like, like injured, um, their status or whatever they thought they valued, we're going to be asked to just to reprioritize like what is important.
mm,
Is it more important that I'm um like you were saying, community and connection is so important, like, so is it more important for me to be seen as this person, or is it more important for me to be a part of a community? Does that make sense what I'm saying? I'm just
yeah.
but I think that, well, that is going to be happening, especially in the next 18 months. And I would say you want to look at themes of this, look back to 2008. And there were a lot of shakeups that happened. But again, it's not always the same.
Mm.
But
Yeah, like the 2008 financial crisis or whatever.
yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying I don't predict things. I don't, but a lot of other astrologers, well, again, these things go in cycles. And so we have the same the South and the North node are in Leo and Aquarius. South node is in Leo, North is in Aquarius, and there's going to be a number of eclipses. And in this full moon being in Aquarius, with the North node just entered Aquarius on, I believe, July 26th. So anyway, but it's like it's going to be starting now, and just again like ride it out. And so if you lose a piece or lose something that you thought you could never live without, it's going to create an opportunity to say, okay, so when things are taken from our life, our existence, it's a chance to say, oh, well, get excited about what's to come. Like there's always something that's going to come into that space. And it's always like what we need to receive, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So rather
Yeah.
than being upset about losing something, it's embracing and being excited about, okay, what's to come? Like, what is source, creator, God going to put in this space that I just lost something from? And that's a great way to shift your perspective and like your mindset to, rather than grieving something you've lost, it's like getting excited about what's to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It, I don't know. I was kind of thinking of trying to think of an analogy, of course. Kind of have a tendency to just love being analogous about like everything.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it's just more like I don't think I have one, but um, I think it's a good, good like self-reflection moment, and a lot of it is like we were saying, it's cyclical and stuff. So like, what happened in like the 2008, like it's like a different form. It's like the same energy of 2008 and like that time of the financial crisis and stuff. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a financial crisis or a crisis in it at all. It's how you like look at it, like the position you look at it from,
Right.
and the way it's. I think the way it affected us socially and like kind of. I I was so little, honestly, at that time. I think I was like 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is going to be like great self-reflection, more encouraged collaboration and everything coming together. Like this is a I don't know, it's intimidating right now, but like saying that it's going to reflect the way the financial crisis may have affected us.
It's just a recap. And that's just one area of astrology that is playing out again because these go in 18-year cycles. But 18 years ago, we didn't have Jupiter in Leo. We didn't have Pluto in Aquarius. So we didn't have Uranus in Gemini. So there's a lot of things that are different.
Mm,
Um, I don't believe we had Saturn in Aries. So a lot of different factors, but which can create a different tone. But all again, it's going back to where have I got so lost in myself and my goals, my ambition, and it's going to ask us to recalibrate and reprioritize what we value. Like, do we value working 80-hour weeks because we want to get that, Mercedes SUV or whatever? And it's
mm,
like, okay, and then it's like getting back to what's really important and what's going to help us grow and thrive. I think people may have gotten so lost in themselves, and and then it's just a force to like that's not that those material things or that chasing whatever you were chasing for yourself is like not as important, and
yeah,
getting back to what is important, like you were saying, like connection, getting back to filling your soul, with what really matters.
yeah. I love that. And I don't know, it's interesting like how you can kind of observe like the way I don't know, like I visualize like my feelings and stuff. Like I you can see like the nervous feeling trying to butt in, you know?
Mm.
But my like essentially my I have like a force field not around me physically necessarily, but like in this imagined persona. I have like a force field of like the like I can absorb what I would like to be in my energy space, you know, and choose to maybe reject or just dismiss the stuff that I don't vibe with and like the things that I don't wish to further extend to others or myself obviously. It's just yeah.
No, that's very that's so spot on. I feel that if people are feeling like more electricity, that's totally the energy of Uranus in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius, just all the stuff happening in Aquarius and Gemini.
Mm,
Um, that energy is real and it can feel more electric right now. Um, so just paying attention to the vibration of especially people around you. And also, one thing I wanted to say, another aspect that's happening right now is
mm,
like Venus in the greater sky. Venus is squaring Mars. What's Mars and what's Venus? Like there, Venus is a benefic, and Venus is, you know, it's it can be stability, but it's like love, pleasure, etc.
mm,
And what's Mars? Mars is in drive, ambition, but the fiery side of Mars is just it's fighting warrior energy. And
mm,
so when they square each other, back to the whole thing about the vibration and electricity you might be feeling from other people is it's just, it can, a square, it creates friction. And so there could be friction. Just be wary of how people might be coming across to you and how you might be coming across to them. And it's just like taking a pause before saying something you like you can't take back, words you can't undo. And then also, you know, the energy, I think in Mars and Gemini, I always think of like just people driving really aggressively. And I always say this whenever we talk, but I've
mm.
seen a lot of accidents and a lot of fire truck activity around me and just a lot of people just driving really aggressively. So that's something, but just ask yourself, like, why am I in such a hurry? And why am I so angry on the road? Why am I telling this person? But it's going to be, there could be arguments and just tension. Venus is in Virgo right now, and Venus doesn't like to be in Virgo. And so it just can be like nitpicky, like energy. Just being aware of that. And this is not a long transit. They're going to, or a long aspect. They're going to go their different ways, but, or go, uh,
Yeah.
so Mars will leave Virgo, I believe, before Venus does. I'm sorry, Mars is in Gemini. Yeah. So there, this square. Sorry, I just totally misspoke. Um, the square that they are with each other it's going to shift. And so, but right now it is a square, and so there will be friction when it comes to especially in relationships. So, just being aware of that, but that
Mm,
can feel very electric.
yeah. And Mars is like the activating, like the initiatory energy. Um, I feel like Mars squaring I think you were saying squaring Venus,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That could be more of it's like you feeling encouraged to
Yeah.
self-reflect.
You might, I mean, squares can create just like a rub, like a friction. It's just to do something differently, or you can lean into the negative or the not so productive energy that a square can bring, but it's like an invitation to change a dynamic. That's how I look at squares and sextiles. It's like an invitation to do something differently. Um, or and then if you find yourself getting heated in thought, or if you find it like not feeling very balanced, that's an invitation to understand and, like you said, reflect and just say, okay, this isn't working. Especially like in a relationship, like if you find yourself around somebody and they're just really driving you nuts, it's like, this is a chance for me to either just step away or practice a new way of relating, communicating with this person. And again, this is not a, a forever aspect. It's going to be moving. But right now, that's tension that will again be an invitation for us to reflect and just navigate um, relational issues differently.
Mm. Yeah, it's really, really interesting how the importance of presence in like really is emphasized if you were to think like astrologically, like that moment, what is happening around you galactically, essentially, or I mean, yeah, galactically. Um, does that take you out of the moment? Like out of the present moment if you are thinking from a wider scale, astrologically speaking?
I think sometimes being present is just pausing and just yeah, and just thinking, okay, there is definitely value to reflect, especially if what's happening currently doesn't feel like it's productive, then it's a chance to pause and get present in a different way of awareness as to why this, interaction is like not going the way going in a productive way. So
Mm,
again, like that would involve knowing your chart and knowing like where this is happening for you. And also the ruler of Gemini and Virgo is Mercury. And so that's communication. So I feel this is Mercury is not just communication. Mercury also represents short distance travel, driving. It represents money. So
mm,
it's just, just a chance to be just aware of just how we are relating to each other and to ourselves. It could also, again, depending on where it is in your chart, it could show up as just like nitpicky, negative self talk. Like we were talking about self talk earlier. So if
mm.
you find yourself just being really hard on yourself, being really self critical, that's not true. And you can rewrite that narrative and just reflect, why am I feeling so hard on myself right now? It's just a chance. And I think that, like you're saying, like being present is also just about being aware. And sometimes
Mm.
we have to reflect and just pause from being present in another person's space or our own space and understand why we are having what this moment is asking us to do and to change. Yeah, I think it's really exciting. It's an exciting time, exciting opportunity to reflect. And a lot of us are going to be asked to just show up differently for ourselves and for others. And so rather than fighting it and saying, oh, I wish things were the way they always were, everything's always changing. We're always getting back into balance. It can't always be the same. That's not
Yeah,
balance. It gets out of balance. And so like asking ourselves, where have I been unbalanced? Where have I not been, where have I just been so self-focused and when it doesn't feel good, that's a chance to recalibrate and to do it differently. So
yeah, yeah. I agree. I don't know. This has been a really good conversation on like I think like emphasizing the importance of self-reflection, self-compassion, and self-acceptance, and I think kind of trusting the flow of things.
Yeah.
I mean, astrology obviously is all about, just we can't control anything about I mean, really, like it's like we can't control whether the planets are going to be, aspecting each other, or if they're going to be conjunct, or it's just we trust the flow of the whole universe. And I mean, that has been working pretty phenomenally
Yeah.
for hundreds of years. So I
Yeah.
don't know, it's interesting.
And just trusting, yeah, trusting the flow of that. And it's just, it's been happening for thousands of years. And, um, but yeah, I would say like the theme that I'm going to be taking into the next 18 months, especially is, and I do have lean into curiosity. I think whenever I find myself being judgmental, I'm like, whoa, like, that's like not really part of, I'm not, I just am not, I just don't, hey, I have my moon in Aquarius. Like, I'm just not judgmental. I'm just not. I get curious. I want to understand things. And so, but now I think a lot of us, and only we know individually if we are more judgmental or not. And
Mm.
is you're going to be given this opportunity to become curious. It's like dropping the judgment. Um, yeah, I think judgment feels like this superiority over people, which it just doesn't make sense to me. We're all doing the best we can with the playbook we have, and it's like if we can support other people in their experiences, great. But I don't judge it. I think that we're all going to be asked to become more curious, and with curiosity comes understanding. You may not agree with somebody, that's okay, but
Mm.
but wouldn't it be so boring if we all were the same? Like
Oh
that would
my,
be
yes.
boring. And so, like when somebody says, "Oh, that I'm practicing voodoo science or whatever because of astrology," I'm just like, I get curious. Like, I don't take it personally. I'm like, well, that's interesting.
Mm.
Let me
Yeah.
think that. And a lot of times they just don't even understand it. You know,
Mm.
could be
Yeah,
really,
and it is because it's really, really far stretch compared to what we are taught is life, what we all grew up in. Like really the past like couple hundred years. Like about especially like the way we learn things, what we learn to be reality, what we learn to be belief, what we our biases and stuff, like what the division, all the things. It's an interesting thing to like sit back and observe. Like, why am I judging this person like that? If
usually
this,
judgment comes from a place of fear.
mhm.
And I, so it's like asking, what am I afraid of? Like, and if it's, I think judgment, we could talk about judgment for a long time, but I think that whenever we find ourselves judging others or judging ourselves, it,
Mhm.
for me personally, it's always a place of fear. You know,
Yeah,
um, none of us know how, like to say, oh, I would do this differently if I were that person is so ego. Like that's such a big ego to say that because like you have no idea what that person, even like bad drivers, back to bad drivers. I never assumed is to be, for all I know, like they just got a really got some bad news, or they have to go to the bathroom and like they're just that's right fast. It's
yeah,
I don't know them, and I just think it's just such a waste of energy also. And this might sound like a judgmental statement what I'm saying, but whatever. But I believe it's a waste of my energy to even write a narrative for a stranger about what they're going through and why I would do it differently, or again, it comes from a place of fear. And like the need to feel superior over somebody because you're judging how they're living their life is just such a waste. And the more time we spend in trying to get in somebody else's head, we are not being present in our own experience. Um, we're not growing. We're just stuck. And it's just a waste of energy. I just don't, I don't, that's why I say another person's opinion is none of your business, because, the minute you ask somebody why they think this about you, good luck. You're never going to get the answer or the directive. And it's really not that informative. As long as you know that your intention was to be kind and not to be hurtful, you can't control how they're going to receive it or judge you. And so
Yeah.
that's why I say don't read the comments ever on anything. I never read comments. In fact, people I watch on YouTube, like when I read the comments that people leave for I'm like, it's so wild. Somebody's sitting behind a computer and they're typing nasty things about a person they don't know. It just makes no sense to me. I mean,
Yeah, that's like a
I
huge
would ask
thing.
myself, like, and I've never felt the urge to, I just have no interest in somebody down. If I leave comments, if it's a positive thing, but it's like, ask yourself, where are you hurting that you feel this need to be nasty about somebody you don't know,
Yeah.
this platform or a different platform? It's just like, how is this elevating? How is a negative, hurtful comment or hateful comment? Um, there are some things that you can definitively say that was hateful, right? So how
Yeah.
is this going to elevate the conversation? And again, for the greater collective, like how does this unite people? It doesn't, it divides.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, I think because there's a lot of moments that we've had in this session where like this could be like a whole episode, about like say like just the commenting or like making hateful comments on the internet.
Yeah.
That's like a whole episode of things that like because like it's interesting to think about, but like from like a compassionate lens, like you're like they must be hurting like
Yeah.
for real right now or whatever.
Whenever I see people, like in my own family, for example, like my children, when they're like, just like their energy is just like very like fighting, I'm like, I get curious and like, I wonder what's going on. Like, where are they feeling discomfort that kids can't express it the way some adults can't express it.
Yeah.
I think also when it comes to reading a stranger's comment about you, it's why, what are you want to, you're going to change their mind somehow when they intentionally put this about you. Like, what's the point? You can't.
Mm.
So don't even read it, because then it gets you out of your zone. And like, that's a way to protect your energy. Like, if you have any friends that come up to you and say, you're not going to believe what so-and-so said about you, say, I don't want to hear it. I don't care. Then
Yeah.
I would also question the intention of that friend who wanted to share that with me. Like,
Yeah.
your intention, is this going to help me or hurt me? Like, I can't change somebody's opinion, nor would I want to. We all have opinions about things and ideas, and that's great.
Mm.
But
Yeah, that's what builds us.
I don't need to hear it, nor do I need to question why this person feels this way about. They just do, and you're not going to change people's. It's really hard to change somebody's mind.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, I,
Yeah.
I do believe that people who are very judgmental have like a more of a fixed mindset. They're not open to growing, having a growth mindset. Because if you're not
Yeah.
curious, then your mind, you want to be stuck in your opinion or your way of thinking. And yeah, it's just getting curious. And if you are aware of somebody's like negativity towards you, it's just the compassion is like, well, wow, that's must be hard to feel that
Mm.
negativity towards somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you can reflect like because further like like that feeling for them to feel like negatively or harshly about you, that also reflects like the ways they are being affected in some way, or the way they have grown up learning like to judge others for this or that. Like I mean, any ways we divide our, I mean, because we're all connected, we're all the same, we're all humans, and I think we are. Um, but
I think it's a conversation. I don't know, but the alien stuff is like not my, I don't, yeah, I don't know. But no, I know. It's like getting the compassion you have, like, wow, this must be hard for them to go through life being. I also when I tell my kids, I'll say to them, I'll say, in the moment you might feel like good for a split second if you tell somebody off or you say, get the last word, but do you really feel good?
yeah,
I think that when people have that anger, it creates more fear in them, especially if they're aware that they were intentionally like hurtful. So then they have to be like watching their back, like they're going to come back at me. You know what I mean? It's just
yeah,
break the cycle and drop the judgment and just embrace curiosity. And you don't have to be curious about everybody who's negative. You can just choose not to engage at all.
yeah,
This is just not worth your energy. And like, how can you keep progressing and moving yourself forward and creating in your own life? And it's really, really hard to tap into the creative energy. And again, Aquarius is about innovation and the innovative spirit and energy. It's hard to be creative if you're not curious. Like creativity is shut down by fear.
mm,
Like we as a species could not survive if we're always just like open to being curious about what's in that cave. Like let's go see that noise in the basement. We are meant to be fearful to survive, but at some
mm,
point, we had to understand that certain fears are just not valid in this how we live now. We're not going to We have so many safety measures in place for our survival. So what an amazing time to be alive, where we have the gift and the ability to be curious and to be innovative and to just create just new possibilities. But you can't be creative without curiosity, and you can't be creative if you're in a place of fear. And there are genuine times when it's safer to be to not be creative because you are going through a hard period of life, or whatever, a moment
mm,
when you're grieving or just experiencing an emotion that you have to experience, right? Pain. But once that's done and you move past it, get creative and get curious and figure out a new way to do something. Take a different route to work, drive in a different, go to a different grocery store,
yeah,
break out of habits that maybe those patterns aren't, feel stale and old, and, you know, change your neighborhood, change something, and you'll change your mindset and allow for new connection to come into your life. So
mm,
that's what I believe. And I do practice that. Like I try to practice that when I'm stuck, I mean, it could be a gift, like getting curious, like how can I create a new mindset and with new, like repetitive thoughts and patterns in how I'm thinking to have a different experience, in my life. When something is taken from us, it's understanding that something better is coming or something different. Like every person I know that's ever lost a job just out of the blue, they always get a better job, always. Or
yeah,
they just do things differently. And it's like, and sometimes that they hated that job anyway, but the push they needed was to get fired, because
mm,
getting fired forces them to like, okay, I didn't like that job anyway. And then you're forced, and that's what this whole astrology right now is going to be doing. It's going to be people who are resisting, and like just two of us talking, like, right. So like the whole Leo energy, like the big ego, like Leo on a bad day is just extreme narcissistic energy. It's just very like y'all are part of family, and it's like none of us, very, very few people in this world are just like completely